Welcome back to Inside Steelers Nation on SNR. I'm Randy Slack with Matt Williamson and Dale Lolley joining us in studio. Dale, it's good to see you, bud. How you doing?
What's going on, guys? Have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was great. Watched some football. Watched 3 games and the Bills-Jags, whatever you want to call that. So today there was a practice. There's no practice report today. Even though they did practice, we can't have a practice report because the NFL's weird. Thursday, when there's a Thursday game, you have a fake injury report for a no practice. You have an injury report for a fake hypothetical practice, but for an actual practice, you don't have an injury report.
That's pretty much how that works. Yes,
that's basically
exactly how that works.
Right.
It's the media version of the catch rule. It's just really kind of weird.
Yeah,
makes no sense.
It does not. But good news for the Steelers. Antonio Brown back at practice today.
That's very good news.
Very good news. Talked to him after the practice. Talked to a couple of the cornerbacks who were covering him throughout practice. They said he looked like AB. So that's very good news for the Steelers. He did everything that he was asked to do out there today, which pretty much everything.
Sure.
And also talked to Marquise Pouncey, who had been, off and on the field the last couple of weeks with the hip injury, which for some reason, Pro Football Reference and somebody on my website, DK Pittsburgh Sports, was looking something up, and they put a message to me and said, "Hey, is Marquise Pouncey dealing with a hernia?" I said, "Not that I'm aware of." Mm-hmm. And they said, "Well, Pro Football Reference is reporting he has a hernia." So I go to his webpage, his site on his page on Pro Football Reference, and they said he's questionable for the playoffs with a hernia.
Where'd that come from?
So I Googled it. I'm like, nobody's reporting that. And so I went and asked him about it today. And I said, "I'm seeing that you have a hernia." He says, "Man, don't put that on me." No,
thanks.
No, I don't have that. No. So he said he went through the full practice today, took all the reps. So they're as healthy as they can be heading into this playoff game, which is really great news. That's the reason why you didn't want to play in this opening week. We saw some guys leaving those games yesterday and Saturday with pretty serious injuries. Mm-hmm. Guys tearing knee ligaments, guys getting concussions.
Kelsey, Jones, Taylor, Newton. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, there were guys leaving games left and right, and the Steelers didn't have to do that. Now, I didn't see Jacksonville have any major injuries. I don't remember them.
I'm trying to think, but no one comes to mind. I think they're pretty healthy too.
Yeah, but Kansas City got banged up, and Tennessee got banged up, and I mean all the other games. There were, I think the Saints lost their left tackle or right tackle.
They lost Pete, who's a tackle/guard, depending on
so,
who's healthy. And,
these other teams got banged up a little bit,
and
the Steelers got to sit at home and watch and get ready and get healthy. So
we kind of mentioned that just talking about the other games, like Atlanta and Tennessee. They've basically been playing playoff games now for a month.
Yeah,
they get.
And sometimes that works. I mean, I've seen that.
Hot,
in 2005, that worked for the Steelers. I mean, they were 7-5 and basically needed to win their last 4 games to get into the postseason, and did. And it was largely the same roster that had gone 15-1 the year before. So, it wasn't a bad roster. They just had some injuries that they had to play through. And once they got into the postseason, they just kind of rolled everybody. So,
and Atlanta might be that team. I mean, I don't think Tennessee is.
No.
Tennessee hasn't been playing great. I mean, they've been winning week after week over this last month, and they got to go to a rested Pats team, which probably won't go so well.
It's not going to go so well, but they can be a physical matchup for that Patriots team that could cause them some issues.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if all of a sudden Derrick Henry's going for 200 yards rushing, they got a chance anyway.
Oh, they definitely got a chance. Yeah.
But they guess people in Pittsburgh have talked about Dick LeBeau's defensive schemes against the Patriots forever.
He switched though. He plays a lot more man now.
He does.
It's not like the old school.
And they've got some former Patriots on that team that may have some insight. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Pats are going to win.
Got Logan Ryan there. He may be able to tell you a little bit.
Sure. I don't think it's a great matchup for the Patriots. I mean, I think they're
but I don't think Tennessee's offense is dynamic enough to go in there and win. That's the only problem with that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And and Kansas City was blowing the doors off Tennessee too before Kelsey got hurt. And
I will be interested to see the James Harrison Taylor Lewin matchup.
It'll be a good battle, yeah.
Everybody wants. He had 5 tackles and 2 sacks in his first game. Okay, let's see what he does now against a guy who's considered one of the top left tackles in the league. Now, if he does that this week, then he'll say, okay, I was wrong.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
Right.
But this is going to be a completely different matchup.
It will. And that line is good. And the Patriots' front seven isn't. I mean,
Right.
you could see Henry having success. And, finally Malarkey.
That's going to depend on Mariota. If Mariota plays like he did in the second half against Kansas City, okay.
I'm a fan. I think they haven't brought him along very well.
Yeah, I had him on like 5 different fantasy teams this year. It just killed me.
Threw like 12 touchdowns this year.
He was my breakout candidate, and that just didn't happen. Now, maybe that happens in the playoffs. Who knows? But I think he's a much better quarterback than the way he played this year.
We were talking about it last segment, too, that it's been driving me crazy. And in a way, it made Malarkey look smart that they got down so much. I mean, Mariota, he won the Heisman with Chip Kelly in a fast-paced, no-huddle offense. And when you're losing 21-3,
that's what
they
you got to do.
finally go to that, right? And he looks good. And, shocker.
By the way, since they didn't have DeMarco Murray, they had to settle on.
I said the exact same
Henry.
thing last segment.
Now,
right.
the only thing that I
now
noted,
Malarkey looks smart.
The only thing I noted in that game, and this may have gone into some of Malarkey's thinking, was Henry didn't have he missed some blitz pickups.
I think that's an issue.
And that could be. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't think that a guy who's 6'4" and 225 pounds would have a problem with blitz pickup.
Right.
But that was a problem.
And Murray's very good at that.
Yeah, and so I can kind of see if you're in those situations that, you got to play Murray, but
one's a much better player than the other. Though.
Yeah.
Especially if you can give him carries and stick with him and don't pull him out of the game every other series. And I've been saying that all year. It makes me bonkers. But.
Yeah, it was very frustrating, again, for fantasy owners, if you had one of those two guys. It was like owning a Patriots running back, basically.
Right.
You didn't know who was going to get the ball from week to week.
Touchdowns.
Yeah.
Now, with the Jags coming back to Pittsburgh, I know prior to the over the weekend's games, Ben Roethlisberger and other players and even coaches, I know Keith Butler kind of alluded to, well, they run the ball really well, and it wasn't in stone they were playing the Jags. I think this team really wanted to play Jacksonville. Was that the kind of the vibe that you got today, Dale?
Well, there was no vibe. They openly talked about it all last week. I mean, this is the game that they wanted. I mean,
hoping for it. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that they didn't feel like they played their best game in the October 8th against the Jaguars.
An understatement.
Yeah.
But it also wasn't a blowout.
No, and I keep seeing that the Jaguars manhandled them. I keep seeing it, and I must have watched a different game because that game was 9-7 midway through the third quarter.
Right, and we talked about it a lot in the first segment. I think they averaged 3.6 yards a carry, other than the Fournette home run at the end.
Going into that final carry that he had, the 90-yard touchdown run, he had 91 yards on 27 carries.
Right,
that was 3.4 yards a carry.
And I opened the show by saying, Bortles threw the ball 14 times in that game.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to win a playoff game with him throwing 14 times?
That's not happening this week.
Right.
They scored 16 offensive points, and that includes the 90-yard touchdown run.
Right.
So if the Steelers don't give them 14 points on turnovers, Jacksonville's going to have trouble scoring. They just are.
And Ben's playing way better now than he was then. Yeah. And not only was that one of his worst games ever, but he was not playing well week to week back then like he is now.
And even like Le'Veon Bell last week, when we talked to him, and he said, we just need to not turn the ball over, and they're going to have to deal with this and this and this, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju wasn't Juju at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Vance McDonald was still kind of feeling his way out in this whole thing, and this is a much different team than the one that they faced back then. And now the Jaguars are playing differently. I think their defense I think everybody realizes that the defense is legit.
Oh, yeah.
The people who are talking about this as being a historically good defense, though, I looked up the numbers. It's not even the best defense in this decade.
I'm not sure it's the best defense in the league. I think them and Minnesota are both really, really good.
But the Seahawks in 2012 or 13 gave up far fewer points.
How about Denver's Super Bowl team a couple years ago? That was a better team than this.
I mean, the Seahawks gave up like 14.2 points a game.
Yeah,
and held opponents to like 68 yards rushing and like less than 200 yards passing.
Yeah.
Now you can look at Jacksonville's defense. Okay, they get a lot of sacks and they're hard to throw the ball against, but they still give up rushing yards.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you can
and
run,
they've been better since Darius got there.
But you can still run on them.
You can run on them, and that has to be the game plan this week.
Yeah,
it has to be a Bell game.
And so I think it will be. Now, if that keeps the score down a little bit, that's fine. But I don't. I think if the Steelers get up 2 scores in this game, it's over.
Oh, we said that before,
it's
too.
completely over. I mean, and by 2 scores, I mean if they get up 8 points.
If it's 10-0 in the first quarter, it's over.
It's done.
You're right.
Because Bortles just is not going to bring them back. They don't have the weapons on the outside, even though they got Marquise Lee and Alan Hearns back. Those guys don't scare you as down the field guys. I mean, Hearns a little bit, but he's still not even fully involved back in the offense. And, virtually nothing from the tight end. Mercedes Lewis runs like me.
Right.
And they're
throwing him screens yesterday, so Bortles can actually complete a pass.
Yeah, that was.
Like,
I mean,
that?
I can't remember who tweeted that. I think it might have been Adam Crowley tweeted out. How many times are they going to throw this screen? And I said, until Bortles completes one, because he was missing on it. They were 3-4 yard passes, and he was missing them.
Yeah, because it's windy. Yeah, come on.
And then he said after the game that the weather conditions weren't great.
It was windy, so what? It's Jacksonville. Come to Pittsburgh this week.
Wait till he sees what the weather. I mean, it's going to be reasonably nice here. It's going to be like 20.
Right. He'll be. Yeah.
So
where were we at on that? There's 2 things I wanted to mention, just matchup wise. That if I'm the Steelers' offense, this is the defense I'd least like to face. That Ramsey might be able to hang with AB, and Bouye won't need help with Juju. I mean, not that the Steelers can't win those matchups.
Okay, then if that's the case, then who's covering Martavis?
Well, the slot guy's okay. What's his face, Colvin?
But he's a slot guy.
He's a slot guy. But yeah, I mean, and their linebackers can run with Bell. But my point was, if I'm the Jags, this is definitely the offense I don't want to play the most. Of all the matchups out there, this is a really hard matchup for any defense, even though that they are pretty vanilla on defense. But there's going to be matchups to the Steelers' liking.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a team that lost twice to Tennessee.
Yes.
In the regular season.
Yeah.
Including once when they played their starters in the finale, trying to basically keep Tennessee out of the playoffs and couldn't do it. They scored 10 points.
Yeah, they didn't lay down in that game.
Bortles went through a 3-game stretch where he threw for 900 yards and 7 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Weeks 14 through 16.
Yep.
Or 14
we were
13, 14,
too,
and 15.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Weeks 16, 17, and last week, he now has, I think, 2 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions, and he's thrown for 600 yards, and 300 of that came in one game when they got beat.
Right.
I mean, he's just not been good.
And an awful completion
His completion percentage is right around where his career completion percentage is, 55%. Mm-hmm. He is not a good passer.
No. However, I also don't we were talking about this earlier, too, that the Steelers could still – I mean, their penchant for letting up big plays worries me, because Bortles throughout the year has done well against bad defenses and really poorly against good ones. And I'm not sure if this is a good one or a bad one, in terms of Westbrook could get behind him off play action twice, and then all of a sudden you have a game. It's not a foregone conclusion that he doesn't hit a bomb on you here and there. That's what worries me. But I do think the matchup that I like most, though, Steelers' defensive line versus their offensive line. I really think the Steelers should control the line of scrimmage.
They should, and I am not counting on them completing any passes down the field at all. None.
Zero. Yeah.
None. I mean, I don't think that they have the confidence to try it with him.
It sure didn't look like it.
I mean,
we talked about this too.
Wouldn't you at least take a shot yesterday at some point just to try to get the field position was decidedly not in their favor pretty much throughout the first half, and they just refused to try anything down the field because they don't trust him.
And I guarantee, and I mentioned this to Randy earlier, that I'm sure the coach said to him, especially after the first quarter, when it's this guy can't complete a pass.
Just don't turn it over.
Don't turn it over. Run.
Yeah.
And punt, and we'll win.
I mean, you're at home. You're playing the 26th ranked defense in the league.
Yeah.
The 29th ranked run defense. Fournette couldn't get out of the backfield.
No,
I mean,
there was no room for him.
Really struggled. They sold out to stop the run. If you're going to try any kind of play action or something, that would be the team to do it against.
Oh, no doubt.
They're selling out to stop the run, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, and going back to the Jags O-line, is not very impressive either. They weren't opening holes for Fournette, and he's kind of worn down too.
Well, they were talking about that on the broadcast too. I don't know if you heard that. Talking about how that offensive line, they had the number 1 rushing team in the league, and none of their offensive linemen made the Pro Bowl.
Well, yeah,
because they stink.
Right, they're a bunch of non-athletes. And the only reason they're the number 1 rushing team in the league is because it's all on volume. I mean, they have the most carries.
Yeah. because their defense was so good.
Right.
They could
right.
They could
And
afford to do
takeaways
that.
and-
They
right,
could
yeah.
afford to still run the ball on 3rd and 6 and punt.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
More to come on Inside Steelers Nation on SNR.